With quarantine going on, it makes me really bored all the time, and I don't want to spend my time playing video games for some reason, so I decided to spend my money. One of the things I bought are these sick sunglasses that I got, and I think I look absolutely fire in, but I'm also getting a couple of things that I don't think I'll ever use. Seriously, I don't really know why I was ever excited for this game. All jokes aside, we gotta talk about one of the weirdest ways to buy things. Secondhand apps. You know those apps that you open up and you see all these people listing all the used stuff for hopefully low prices? Well, guess where you can find a lot of games? That's right, one of my favorite places to buy new games is secondhand apps. I'm talking apps like Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, the works. And you'd hope that with them being such big and popular apps, they'd be trustworthy, right? Not the people selling on them. To be honest, most of my experience with these apps are pretty poor. You either find not good deals, or the only good deals you find are swiped away within 5 minutes. What about the things I have bought though? You know, I'm kind of a deal hunter. I only buy something if it's a good price. And also, what about selling? That's a whole different story. Well, I got a couple stories for you guys. And no, not any of those lame stories like, oh, he did come and buy my video game. No, ones that are epic. Now that you guys are all nestled in your seats, we can begin the first story. I call this one Guitar Hero Story. Okay, what I want you guys to imagine is me who is a 19-year-old epic gamer who just got back into Guitar Hero. I started looking around online for new Guitar Hero controllers because I also found out that a lot of people like to pay lots of money for Guitar Hero controllers if they're well taken care of and well cleaned. Being the businessman I am, I took advantage of that and started buying Guitar Hero controllers for cheap when they're all crusty and crappy, and then fixed them up and sold them for a pretty penny. And when I say pretty penny, I don't mean anything stupid. Like, I'm not one of those guys that buys something and then sells it over value. I try to keep things like around the same value as what they should sell for. Fast forward a couple weeks later, I found a sick post online for a Guitar Hero controller for about 15 bucks, and I could have probably flipped it for 60. It was one for the Wii that you put the Wii mode in, so I didn't even need an adapter with it. And another great selling point is, if you get an adapter from Amazon, you can actually plug it into your computer and use it with Clone Hero. The guy told me that he would be available the next day so that I could come pick it up. And, you know, I was really excited. I wanted to try this thing out, test it. You know, I really like fixing controllers and stuff. It's kind of my thing. So next day comes around and I wait till 12 a.m. and I didn't get a message, you know, whatever, it's 12 a.m. And then I wait all the way till 6 p.m. So I'm wondering, like, what is going on? He did message me earlier in the day saying that he might be a bit later, so I'm like, whatever. But I sent him a message around 6 and he hasn't gone back to me for a couple hours now, so I'm like, what's going on? The guy ended up messaging me at 11 p.m. saying that today wouldn't work, so I'm just like, okay, you know what, whatever. So I keep trying to message this guy and he just won't respond. Eventually he responds back to me like 2 days later and he said, yeah, other people are interested in the guitar. So I'm just like, okay, you know what, let's just see what happens, I'll just leave it. Honestly, I should have just like backed out by now, but I didn't. I wanted to see where it was gonna go. So whatever. The guy didn't contact me for ages. A couple days later, I messaged him again. I'm like, hey, did you sell it? And he replies back, no, it's still available. When do you want to come pick up? I'm like, oh, sweet, I could come today. And then they asked, this is for the t-shirt, right? I didn't order a t-shirt, so I said, no, this is not for the t-shirt. I said, this is for the Guitar Hero controller, and I'm kind of screaming right now. And what ends up happening is this guy's aunt was messaging me instead of him. His aunt was messaging me over his Facebook. What ended up happening was the aunt said, oh, I'd have to check in to see blah 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 if it's still available. Okay, yeah, whatever. So I was just like, whatever. This guy finally replies to me like a day later. Hey, the guitar didn't sell. Do you still want it? At this point, I'm so fed up, I'm just like, no. The moral of the story is, don't chase anything too hard unless it's an insanely good deal, which this wasn't. This next story, I like to call it the PlayStation Scandal. Sometime in late 2020, I found a post on Kijiji for a PlayStation 1 with Final Fantasy 7 and 8, Metal Gear Solid, and Gran Turismo for $60 with the box and manuals. It was a steal! I later ended up getting a PS2 that can already play PS1 games, and I ran out of room for the PS1, so I decided to sell it. I ended up putting the PS1 up for sale with the box and manuals, and then I also added another controller with Final Fantasy 7 and 8. Please don't judge me, I'm not an RPG guy. I mean, maybe I'll come back to it someday, but I don't know. I tried it and I didn't really like it. I had the PS1 up for sale for $120 with the value being $135, so I thought that was a fair price. I ended up not being able to sell it at all, and ended up just getting a lot of fake offers on it, where people would offer this, and I'd be like, oh yeah, cool, you can come pick it up this day, and then they just would never respond again. So I ended up lowering the price of it to about $100 a couple months later. That's where the buyer comes into play. In the midst of this whole thing, he ended up offering me $90 for the whole bundle, which was way too low for me at the time, but I was kind of getting desperate near the end of it, and he offered $90 again, so I agreed. Here's where things got a little wonky though. He ended up asking me to ship the item to him, as in like just drive over and drop it off. But the thing is, I need money for gas if I were to do that, since that would be more fair. So I asked him to chip in $10 more, since at the time I had a truck that used a lot more gas. He said that he literally only had $90, so he asked me to take out one of the games. So I took out Final Fantasy 7 and gave him Final Fantasy 8 with everything else. And that came to a total of about $70 with the gas. That wasn't bad to me because, I mean, I got to keep Final Fantasy 7. Even if I don't really like it as of right now, I feel like it's a game that I could come back to and try again. I walked up to the house and they were waiting outside for me, so I went up and showed them the PS1 and everything. I said that he could go ahead and take it out and look at everything, you know, make sure everything's okay. I want the people I'm selling to be happy with what they're buying. Funny enough, when I was talking to the buyer, it was mostly his brother that was doing the talking, and the actual buyer was just listening in. What ended up happening was after he knew that he was happy with the thing, he ended up offering me $50 instead of the $70 we agreed on, and he was getting his brother to do most of the talking, and I would assume pressure me into trying to get me to do $50. And man, you do not want to try to do this crap with me. Listen, I respect the hustle, I really respect the big brother trying to help out and defend the little brother, but man, come on. You can't just pull up and just say, hey, here's 50 instead of the 70 you asked. That's not what you do. And bro, you really don't want to do that to me. I literally bullied Rockstar one time into giving me money on GTA 5 because I ended up losing the car and the wheel even though I should have gotten it. Long story short, he ended up trying to keep offering me 50 and I wouldn't budge at all. He ended up finally pulling out another $20 and gave me 70. I counted that money like 4 times before I left. I wanted to make sure that I actually got every penny. Moral of the story is, if you're buying something, please don't be petty and offer under what you already agreed on. For the seller, always stand your ground. If they're offering you a lower price, man, you can find somebody else to sell it to. It's not worth your time. To be honest, buying things secondhand is always gonna be a big risk. You know, why dump all your money into something that's used when you can buy it brand new? Where am I gonna find this brand new? The truth is, secondhand apps are really important, especially when you can get good deals on really expensive products. Why spend $150 for this bad boy when you can find it online for 10? All you gotta do is make sure that the buyer or the seller is legit. People online can be really stupid, so you know what? Don't have faith in humanity. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. They'll always let you down. Especially when it takes too long to get your copy of Sonic and the Black Knight.